choose you. Go, Rihanna. Drake. Yes, I choose you.
I know when that hotline bling.
Okay, Shawn Mendes, you're up.
I know I can treat you better than he can.
DNCE. Finish this. Always your winning station.
Biggest Little Radio.
And that's funny, I just played that song too. Gosh, I love this music. Biggest Little Radio. Thanks for listening. Jay Fierce Rodriguez hanging out with you inside the studio today. Jan with Fernley News Network for Jan's Fernley Spotlight. Hello, Jan. Welcome back.
Thank you. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm not spooked at all. I'm not worried at all, even though I'm wondering and debating whether I should be. But then again, that's depending on your guest here today. So.
Well, I told you this show was going to be different.
Yes, this show is definitely going to be different, and we're really excited about it. So you have here today Mark with Spirit Ghost Hunters, right?
Well, we're a research team with for Paranormal, so we're kind of like the ghost hunters that you see on TV. We're inspired by a lot of the programs that are out there, but we're going with Silver State Paranormal Intelligent Research Investigation Team.
Okay, so Jen, I'll let you go ahead and introduce your guest here, and we'll talk more about what they do and what.
Okay, well, let's get everybody up to speed on how you got into this in the first place.
Well, that's an interesting question because, when we go through life, we experience a lot of different experiences that we don't understand. And a lot of times it stems from childhood, in a lot of cases because children are so innocent and vulnerable to a lot of things that they're receptive to, So in my case, my experience was that I encountered demons that came and visited me when I was a child, and there's a little bit of a story that goes with that because my aunt, she used to babysit me. I was like 4 or 5 years old. My mom would be at work, and my aunt, she used to practice black spiritism type stuff, and so I think it was conjured up. It followed her, and so whatever left behind affected me, and
she's
so
bringing in all this dark stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the first time that I experienced anything paranormal. And then as I was growing up, I started noticing other little things that were unexplained, things that I thought was sleep paralysis, but I was wide awake and I felt like I was being held down. And then the last 4 or 5 years when the TV shows got real popular, then I thought, there's something to this here, and so I started diving into it and, looking in to validate what I went through as a kid. And so anyways, I was inspired by Ghost Adventures. That was one of my favorite TV shows. And I also like The Haunted Collector. He's got a good way of going about his investigation, especially when it comes to item attachments and things like that.
We actually got a chance to watch Ghost Adventures from the first episode. We actually took the family earlier this year to the Washoe Club, and we had a chance to actually tour one of the buildings where they picked up some of that paranormal activity inside the Washoe Club. So the tour, we didn't actually encounter anything while we were there, but going back to the history of what you encountered, it sounds very scary to have experienced.
Well, I would admit, I remember that day clear as now, and it was, it terrified me. I mean, I jumped out of my mom's bed and I was out of her room and seemed like half a second, and they didn't come after me. There was like 3 heads, at the edge of the bed, and what woke me up is that they were tapping my forehead, while I was sleeping. So, and then when I realized what it was, it freaked me out and I was out of there. So, and then of course, I told my mom. My mom was very open-minded about things like this because of her sister, and so right away she called the Catholic priest. and he told her to have me color on a piece of paper what I
you
saw.
saw,
And then
okay.
when he came over, and this is like at midnight, he came over and saw what I drew. He said, "Yeah, you got activity here going on," and he blessed the house. And then after that, everything calmed down. So.
I don't think I ever really established this story to my parents because they're a little old fashioned. But as a child growing up, I was born and raised in Carson City. I could clearly draw an image of what I saw as a kid, which I would probably say was my first scary experience. Which I was not dreaming. I was wide awake. I was in my backyard, looked up the clouds, and it was like a very ghost-like figure of a cloud was coming after me, and that that image stays in my mind always still to today. And same thing with my wife. She's had a visit from her father passed away back in May, and in her dream she thought that she was trying to reach out to her dad, but instead, a name which she will, I'm sure, will text me, came into play into her dream and says, "No, I'm not your dad. Your dad's not going to come and talk to you. But this is a scary demon-like figure that's been haunting her dreams since she was a kid."
Yeah.
So stuff like that. I mean, it's pretty scary to experience, and there's no doubt that what we're saying is not true.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, and let's kind of target on the word scary. Okay, typically by human nature, we're afraid of things that we don't understand. Okay, and this is what kind of helped me open my mind on my fears, and this is why I want to use my team to help others, as well as spirits that might be lost or fumbling around or whatever. But I've learned to embrace it and try to understand why there's a fear, and learn that spirits, through some of the evidence that we have collected, learned that they're people just like we are. They're just not in the body anymore. And so, there's some people may argue the fact that say, well, how do you explain the demonic activity? Well, this is where you need to take an understanding when it comes to positive and negative energy. Okay, and if you got somebody who is very disgruntled, evil person who dies, and they take that negative energy with them into the afterlife, so to speak, okay, then they're going to be that way until their time is meant to change, for whatever reason. Okay, so I'm not saying that demons are not real. I'm just saying that there's an understanding to embrace here, to understand the fears of why things that we can't see, touch, look at, all those kind of things that we comprehend easily, and especially if you're getting touched, or you hear a scary noise or something like that, those kind of things, that right away it makes us go, oh my gosh, that's freaky, because we don't understand it, because it's not visibly there. So
But it is true.
It is very real.
Yeah.
The paranormal world is very real. All the documentation and evidence is there. I mean, a lot of people, they may take some of the shows on TV as entertaining, but if you pay attention to how they do their documentation, there's a difference between entertainment and real investigations. And my team, we've actually gathered documentation and got direct responses back, from positive energy spirits, that were non-malicious. It's just they're floating around. Spirits are everywhere. Whether you choose to believe that or not, they're all around us all the time. And some people might go, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to start walking around the house, with fully clothed or whatever, But
what I do in my bedroom now.
Yeah, exactly. But
I'm going to think twice. No, but it is real. And now, what is it in response to provoking those spirits? I mean, is that something that you would suggest that us, humans here in the non-paranormal world should not do? Would you suggest that we do not provoke spirits if you think that there's a spirit in your house, or no? Well, I mean, not think, because we obviously know that they're everywhere no matter what, but
I think that's up to the investigator on what the situation requires. For example, I don't really like to use provocation unless I have to. and the reason why I put it that way is because there again, as I said earlier, is that spirits are people just like us. They're just in a different space, time, and dimension of energy that we can't see. Okay, so. But some of them could be like bullies, okay? And nobody likes a bully,
right?
So you got a malicious spirit that is, just being a nuisance and everything like that. Sometimes you might need to, use a little provocation to lure him to a point where you can get rid of him, and we have means of doing that too.
So that's what your team does. You guys are out there to help those who may be encountering.
We want to, the people who are, I want people to understand that if you've had experiences or things that are unexplained that you can't understand, that you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there that feel that way and have experienced something of one form or another. So we're here to do research, to come and investigate, to educate, to help you cope, to help you understand anything. Even if you have questions, it doesn't require an investigation, but if you have questions, you can get a hold of us, and we will help you the best that we can.
Now, Jan, I hope I'm not stepping on your toes with this interview, but
I knew it was going to go this way.
but I know that is there a difference between with such as shows as the Ghost Adventures compared to like Monica the Medium?
I would say yes, because now you're talking about abilities, and there's a few people on my team, including myself, that have what's called a natural human ability. For example, I'll just pick one that everybody discounts, is that when you walk into a room and you get that gut feeling, well, that's ability. That's a sense that's going to work for you that enhances how you feel in that room setting at that moment. That's telling you to help you discern a judgment. Okay, as far as, do you feel comfortable or should you leave? One of those kind of things.
Or does it feel heavy or does it feel light?
Yeah. Basically on how you interpret it on your senses. So you got Monica the Medium, that she's using her extra perception senses, okay, that it's natural with her, okay, that she goes about where it's a great gift, versus an investigator who goes in with equipment and tries to communicate that way, where she doesn't require that. She picks up on in her mind and her senses.
Yeah,
now, Mark's got people on his team that have some really incredible gifts that they help
without equipment.
Right.
Without equipment,
there are some of us on our team that have the ability to that have one or two extra abilities, and they may have some more, but they could sense a presence in a room. Some of them can interact with the spirit on. It could be how it's being communicated through our natural senses. There's one of my team members that her son, he's in high school, and he's got what they call that sixth sense, where he's got the ability where he can actually have a conversation, see and have a conversation with the spirit, just like I'm talking to you right now.
Okay.
And that's a really a wonderful gift, because you don't hear about that all the time.
No. And it's good that to know that here locally, because I mean when you're thinking about such a person such as Monica Medium, you're like, gosh, I need to reach out to her because I have maybe a death in the family, or someone that passed on that was unfinished business, or was didn't get a chance to say goodbye. You
don't need to do that now, because our team, we can help you if you feel that you have a loved one who has passed away that is hanging around, because you're picking up on things. It could be a smell, it could be a feeling, it could be a something that's coming into your right before your REM dream sleep time. And we could come and gather documentation and help you communicate, because maybe spirits they can't call you up on your cell phone and say, hey, so
as much as we wish.
Dreams seem to be the safest, though, from what I hear.
Yes.
Because you're like less afraid when you're dreaming. So
Right.
they come to you in a dream to say what they need to say or interact.
Right.
And see,
people.
that's what my wife was thinking, that she was hoping that she was getting in touch with her dad.
Right.
But unfortunately, it was a different entity that came into that dream.
That might have been a go-between between something.
And she's
she
like,
didn't-
this is. And her explanation has been, hey, this has been someone who's been haunting my dreams for a long time since I was a kid. So, and this time they revealed their name. So,
Right.
it was pretty scary to hear about. But this was last week when we were discussing this, and I said, well, hon, you know what, we're having a guest coming to Jan's show on Wednesday, so we would love to talk about that and get a little more insight as to what's happening. So.
And that's very true, because and a lot of people, once they've determined that they woke up out of that sleep, and they go, well, it's just a weird dream. But then in your waking hours, it kind of lingers with you. And so you're sitting there going, why am I having a hard time with this dream? Well, there again, it could be because something reached out a little bit more than what you thought it was, more than a regular dream. And it's possible that there was a communication going on through that vulnerable period, okay? We also have, another team member that she's empathic, like myself, and she does tarots, and those kind of readings help go in and tell things about what's going on around you, and it's been very helpful as far as a tool goes.
So this is great information. This is obviously real bringing out of what your company is about, what your team is about. We would like to express more of the company name, how to contact you, and get our listeners to really understand. Like, if there's something, I'm not expecting someone to pick up the phone and say, hey, this is what's going on with me, but we would love for anyone who's listening to this podcast and this live broadcast now to definitely reach out to your team. So, Jan, would you like to elaborate more on the company and information that we could get?
I'll let Mark do that. Now, you've got a Facebook page, correct?
Right. We have a Facebook page, and all you have to do is go in there and type in the word spirit. It's all capital letters with periods in between, because it's our acronym for our team name.
And I gotta ask, what was that all about? Stupid? Yeah. What?
No, it's Silver State Paranormal Intelligent Research Investigation Team.
Oh, okay. So
now, if you go in there right now, you're going to see our original name. I just updated some changes, so it's going to say Special Paranormal Investigation Research Intelligence Team or something like that.
Okay.
But if you just type up Spirit, you can go there and either leave us a message. There's a phone number you could call that you could reach out. You can leave me a message, and I'll get back to you as soon as you can. The phone number that you can reach our team is area code 775-225-8250, and that's 775-225-8250. We're centrally located here currently in Fernley, and I do have a P.O. box if anybody that wants to send me something, questions or any kind of information would be great about any way that we can help you. And that's P.O. Box 1696 here in Fernley, Nevada 89408, and that's P.O. Box 1696 in Fernley.
So that's recommended. If you have what you think are haunted items, please don't mail them. Just call.
That's right. Let us come and determine if you have an attachment with an item, and if you do, we can help you with that. So we have a really good group of team members. I have many people on my team. I have really good researchers. I have really good investigators. We have equipment, and if anybody's curious, about what would it cost for a team like you guys to come and check something out that I've got going on. Right now, we're nonprofit at this moment. Okay, we're here to help the community. Okay, if somebody is willing to help our team out so we can broaden our horizons, donations are fine. That would be greatly appreciable, but it's not a must. We want to help those that are needing some understanding of the paranormal.
Yeah, and remember, we 50-mile radius. So there are some team members, an extension in Carson City. So regardless of where you're at, Yarrington, Carson City, Reno, Sparks.
Yes, we have a pretty vast, wide range here. My two sons, they live in Carson. They're the co-founders of the team, and they have a small team that's still part of our division up here, and they're located in Carson. But the phone number I gave you, that contacts me, and I will do everything I can to help you.
Sounds good.
Okay, so everybody's got the information they need. Call them if you're having issues.
Yes, and don't you'll probably hear your phone ring here in just a moment. No, I'll just talk to you right after the show here. But this is great interview, and we appreciate you taking the time to come out and to do this interview here, and to talk about what I'm sure many have concerns or.
I think it's important, even though people don't want to talk about it.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. So that's Jan's Fernley Spotlight for today, and we'll see you next Wednesday here at 4 o'clock.
You, folks.
Jan's Fernley News Network, every Wednesday, 4 o'clock here on Biggest Little Radio. You can contact Jan anytime if you're interested in doing an interview here on the show by reaching out to her, Fernley News Network, right?
FernleyNewsNetwork.com, FernleyNews.com, or you can give me a call at 775-835-3582. If I don't catch the phone, just leave me a message.
And what's your email?
Just email it to info at FernleyNews.com.
All right. So thank you so much. And Mark, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
It's Biggest Little Radio. Stick around, you guys. More on the show coming up right here. And this podcast will be updated and uploaded to our website, BiggestLittleRadio.com.